name is Iga and you're watching Pixie and the Notes. Today, something different. Today I would like to talk about fragrances I cannot stand. And these are not even fragrances I don't think much of, or I think they are meh, or I simply think they are bad. These are fragrances that give me almost like a visceral reaction. I simply cannot stand them on my skin or around me. And I won't include fragrances from the categories I personally don't like. That wouldn't be fair. So I hate tuberose, so there won't be any fragrances that are centered around tuberose, because this is basically, I won't like any fragrances including tuberose or aquatics. These are just fragrances that are loved by other people but simply don't work for me. And one more thing. With fragrances I don't like, I tend to be quite harsh with words. So, and I don't want to offend anyone, so I will try to tame my inner beast and simply just objectively explain why these particular scents don't work for me. Jesus, this introduction is pretty long, so let's get into it, shall we? So the very first fragrance that came to my mind when I started making this list was Chloe by Chloe. I hate this fragrance with all my heart. I don't even know what it is about this fragrance, but I simply cannot. I cannot stand it on myself, I cannot stand it on other people. And I know it's a lot of people say that this is one of those scents that can't offend anyone. It can offend me. Don't wear it around me. I can't. So the next one is Cult's favorite. Well, a lot of these fragrances are, and I hope you won't hate me for this, but another scent that really didn't work for me was Naxos by Xerjoff. Simply this combination of tobacco and honey was too much, too heavy, too cloying, and it simply didn't work for me. So I tried it like a few times, but every time it was the same story. So sorry Naxos, but we don't get along. Another one is a fragrance that is also very often listed among the scents that every woman should have in their collection. And this is, I don't know why I'm doing this American accent, a bad American accent when I say nasty things. Okay, let's not get into that. So what I mean is Coco Manual EDP. No, this fragrance just, I really don't like it. I don't know, maybe this is this combination of bergamot, florals, and it's just weird. There is something very irritating about this fragrance for me. I cannot explain what it is. I can see that this might be an appealing fragrance, but just not for me. Next one is a classic from Guerlain, and I know a lot of people consider it a masterpiece, but it was like a huge no, take it away from me. And this is Nahma by Guerlain. This is the type of rose I hate with all my being. So this is this green, almost chalky rose, this very almost minty rose. And for some reason, this scent profile just gets on my nose so much that I cannot stand it. So I wish I could appreciate this, because I know this is a lot of people's favorite and very much appreciated in the community, but it's simply, I cannot do Nahma. Okay, the next one. Okay, let's get over it. Le Dessert Marquin by Andy Tower. I swear, I tried really hard to understand this fragrance and to appreciate it. I even tried to wear it like 2 days ago, but it simply is a fragrance that I want to wash off after like 15 minutes. It's this combination of animalic notes and lavender and labdanum, this amber accord. It simply is suffocating for me. I have a feeling, like this claustrophobic feeling, that I cannot breathe. So it really causes a reaction in my body that I'm suffocating. I cannot breathe. So no, I don't want to feel like that. So I think I'm done trying to understand this fragrance. I will simply accept that it's not for me. The next one is a fragrance that a lot of people love, and I hate it. And this is Sex and the Sea by Francesca Bianchi, and it's flanker Sex and the Sea Neroli, which was even worse. The combination of this horrible yellow florals, ylang ylang, coconut and sweat was so obnoxious that it gave me a massive headache, and the neroli one destroyed me in 10 seconds. So it's very difficult for me to judge this fragrance, really, because my body says no. The next one was, so this will be the same story with all of them. I had to wash them almost immediately. I couldn't get into the dry down. So the next one is Pulp from My Burrito. And oh my god, what a horrible fragrance that is. It's like those rotting, decaying fruit on steroids. It's so obnoxiously sweet and cloying that I'm really struggling to understand. Like, do really people like this scent? Or is there something just wrong with me? No. So I think I said it a few times that I'm not a big fan of honey in fragrances, although I do have a few fragrances featuring honey that I love. But there are two on my list that include honey and that are honey out of hell. So the first one is Back to Black by Kilian. And oh my god, what an experience that was. When I put it on, my family was going crazy. So my sons, when they came home, they said, something smells of pee here. And soon after that they said, Mom, it's you. And yeah, this is this kind of dirty, pissy honey, and it stays on your skin like crazy. So I must say I endured, and I wore it the whole day, and every single time my kids walked into the bedroom they said, oh Mom, it stinks here. So it wasn't just my perspective. My kids hated this fragrance, and I don't intend putting it on, like, ever. So speaking of honey, probably the worst honey fragrance I've ever smelled was Noel Balcon by Attaque d'Orange. And this is this one big chunky fake honey, sticky, dense and obnoxious. It's just too much. It's so synthetic and so in your face. I couldn't pull it off at all. I tried, but I failed every single time, and I cannot understand how and why. So the next one is probably well, a lot of people love this fragrance, but those people are very much aware that this is a challenging fragrance. And oh my god, it is. And I mean Kuros. Yeah, urinal cakes, amped up to unbearable level. No. Me and Kuros, we don't vibe. We don't vibe. Another one that I see mentioned and a lot of people rave about it is Fate Woman by Amouage. This fragrance makes me extremely sad. This is one of the most depressing fragrances I've smelled. It smells like funeral parlor for me. There is something utterly depressing, and that makes me, it just makes me feel bad. Whenever I tried it, and I really tried to like it, but it just puts me in a very bad mood, and it's just not for me. The next one is, I really wanted to love this fragrance, I really did, and I had very high hopes for it, and this is Rosé All Day by Gallagher. A lot of people mentioned it as a beautiful gourmand. To me, it simply smells like fermented apples. And basically fermented apple pie. And I got the same vibe from another fragrance, this time by Lush, and that was called Vanillary. These two scents gave me the same fermented apple pie vibe, and they were both very loud, and I simply had to wash them off my skin pretty quickly. And the last one is comes from Dior, and it's called Beige. I tried it quite recently and I absolutely hated it. I have it on my arm, and the opening isn't that bad, but the dry down is dreadful. And then I checked the notes and it made sense to me. Honey again, and hawthorn. Hawthorn is probably one of the nastiest smelling plants on the planet. And combination of these two in one fragrance just doesn't do it for me, you know? It almost creates this metallic, it has this metallic undertone with this animalic aspect of honey. And this is a very difficult combination for me, and I cannot handle it on my skin. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope I didn't offend anyone. That wasn't my intention. But I hope you can share the fragrances that create this almost bodily reaction from you, and that you simply cannot stand. You try, you want to like it, but it just doesn't work for some reason.